Think about the last time you went to a grocery store. You walked in, you grabbed a carton of milk, you scanned it at a self-checkout machine, and you tapped your card. Beep, transaction complete. You did not talk to a single human being. You did not look anyone in the eye. You walked out the door, and for all intents and purposes, you and that store are perfectly even. You owe them nothing. They owe you nothing. You are strangers who shared a moment of cold, mathematical efficiency. This is what economists call a spot trade. One thing for another right here, right now. No strings attached. They tell us this is the peak of human civilization. They tell us we spent thousands of years failing at this, awkwardly trying to swap cows for chickens, until we finally mastered the art of the clean break. But what if I told you that the spot trade is not an evolution? What if I told you that in the eyes of our ancestors, the way you just bought that milk would be seen as an act of hidden hostility? What if I told you that the very first barter transactions in history were not friendly neighborhood swaps, but high-stakes standoffs between people who were terrified of each other? Welcome to the dark side of the market. Today, we are going to dismantle the myth of the friendly barter and replace it with something much more interesting. Something involving hidden weapons, ritualized sex, and the realization that money was not invented to help us be friends, but to help us survive our enemies. Let us start with the story that every economics textbook loves to ignore. We are going in to the deep, humid heart of the Brazilian Amazon. It is the middle of the 20th century. An anthropologist named Claude Lévi-Strauss is watching two tribes of the Nambi-Gwa people meet in a clearing. Now, if you believe the textbooks, this should be a moment of peaceful commerce. Maybe they swap some baskets for some clay pots and share a laugh. That is not what happened. First, before the groups even meet, the men hide their wives and children deep in the forest. They are afraid they will be kidnapped or killed. The men who approach the clearing are not carrying shopping bags. They are carrying long spears and heavy clubs. They are nervous. Their eyes are darting back and forth. This is not a farmer's market. This is a cold war. When they finally meet, they do not start trading right away. They start dancing. But it is not a celebratory dance. It is a mock, warfare dance. They are shouting, they are posturing, they are showing each other exactly how fast they can swing their clubs. It is a terrifying display of potential violence. Only after hours of this, when the tension is so high you could snap it like a dry twig, do they begin to trade. And even then, the trade is weird. One man will walk up and snatch an ornament off another man's arm. The second man doesn't smile. He grumbles. He looks insulted. He demands something back immediately. If the exchange doesn't feel perfectly equal, someone might actually get stabbed. There is no credit here. There is no, pay me back next Tuesday. Why? Because these two groups do not trust each other. They are not neighbors. They are potential enemies who happen to have things the other group wants. This is the secret that economists never tell you. Barter is what you do when you want to get what you want, without having to be friends with the person you are getting it from. It is an act of social distancing. In a world before law and police, a spot trade was a way to say, I am taking this, you are taking that, and now we are done. We are even. I don't owe you anything, so I don't have to see you again. Now, compare that to how you treat your actual friends. If a friend comes over to your house and asks for a cup of sugar, do you make them stand in the kitchen and demand that they give you exactly 3½ teaspoons of flour in return before they leave? Of course not. That would be the fastest way to lose a friend. You give them the sugar and you say, don't worry about it. Because you know that in a week or a month or a year, they will do something for you. This is the fundamental law of human society. Being even is the death of a relationship. If we are perfectly even, we have no reason to talk. If I owe you a favor, we are connected. We are in a relationship. We are a community. Barter is the total opposite of that. Barter is the refusal of community. It is a way to trade with people you might actually want to kill. If you think the Brazilian story was intense, let us fly across the ocean to northern Australia. We are looking at the gunwing. Goo people. They have a ritual called the Zama Lag. This is barter turned into a fever dream. Imagine a group of people from a neighboring territory arriving. There is the usual tension, the usual weapons. But then, things get strange. The visitors begin a formal ceremony where the women of one group are encouraged to have sex with the men of the other group. While this is happening, the men from the visiting group approach the local men and offer them gifts. But these are not just gifts. While the local man is accepting the gift, the visitor will literally jab a spear at his chest or hit him with a club. They are simulating an attack at the exact same moment they are handing over a valuable object. The locals have to take the hit and accept the gift. Then they have to give something back. It is a chaotic, explosive, high-pressure exchange of goods, physical intimacy, and simulated violence. Why on earth would anyone do this? Because the gun wing, Gu understood something profound. They knew that trading with strangers is dangerous. They knew that the desire for objects can easily turn into war. The Zamalag was a way to bleed off all that tension. It was a way to say, look, we are swapping things. We are getting angry, we are getting intimate, and we are doing it all in a controlled explosion so that we don't end up actually slaughtering each other. In these societies, the spot trade was not the beginning of the economy. It was a diplomatic breakthrough. It was a way to prevent a massacre. So, where did we get this idea that barter is the foundation of everything? We can thank a group of thinkers in the 1800s who wanted to make the world seem like a simple, logical place. They invented the story of the hunter and the blacksmith, because it made the modern market look like a natural evolution of human kindness. They wanted us to believe that deep down, we are all just individual traders looking for a fair deal. But anthropology tells us we are actually social animals who are terrified of being alone. We didn't want fair deals. We wanted safety. We wanted belonging. We only used barter when belonging was off the table. This brings us to a very uncomfortable truth about our modern world. Remember that grocery store trip? The one where you didn't talk to anyone? The one where you used a spot trade to get your milk? We have built a world that functions exactly like the high-stakes standoff in the Amazon, but without the spears. When you buy something on a website, you are engaging in the purest form of barter, turned digital. You send money, they send a box. You never meet, you have no relationship. If the box doesn't arrive, you get a refund. You are even. The transaction is closed. We have spent the last few hundred years perfecting the art of trading with people we don't know and don't care about. We call this progress. We call this efficiency. And in many ways it is. It allows us to have iPhones and strawberries in the winter and cars made of parts from 40 different countries. But we have to recognize what we have traded away to get here. We have traded away the social debt. We have traded away the messy, annoying, wonderful obligation of owing someone a favor. In the ancient world, there was a concept called the silent trade. This is the ultimate example of barter, as hostility. Imagine a beach in Africa 500 years ago. A ship from a far-off land pulls up. The sailors get out and lay out a row of gold coins or beads on the sand. Then they get back in their boat and row away from the shore. A group of local people come out of the forest. They look at the beads. They place a pile of ivory or rare wood next to the beads. Then they disappear back into the trees. The sailors come back. If they like the amount of ivory, they take it and leave the beads. If they don't, they leave everything and row away again to wait for more ivory. They never speak. They never touch. They never even stand on the same patch of sand at the same time. This is the purest barter in history, and it is born out of pure, unadulterated fear. They want the stuff, but they are so afraid of being killed that they won't even look each other in the face. Is that not what our modern economy is becoming? A series of silent trades? We leave money in a digital account, and a package appears on our porch. We don't see the person who packed it. We don't see the person who delivered it. We are perfectly even with the world, and yet we are more isolated than ever. The mystery of the spot trade is that it is a tool designed for enemies that we have turned into a lifestyle for friends. We have taken a mechanism created for the forest clearing where spears were drawn and brought it into our living rooms. This is why, when you go to a small town and try to pay your neighbor for a favor, they get offended. They say, "Your money is no good here." They aren't being polite. They are defending their social bond. By refusing your money, they are keeping the dead alive. They are saying, "I want to stay connected to you. I want us to be uneven." Because if we are uneven, we are a community. If we are even, we are just two strangers on a beach, waiting for the other one to walk away so we can grab the beads. The economists were wrong. Barter is not the ancestor of money. Barter is the ghost of trust. It is what remains when we have nothing else to hold us together. It is the social equivalent of a one-night stand. It satisfies the immediate urge, but it leaves you empty in the morning. So what is the conclusion to this mystery? It is that we have a choice. We can live in a world of perfect spot trades, where every transaction is a clean break, and every relationship is a ledger that must be balanced by midnight. That is a world of incredible efficiency and total loneliness. Or, we can recognize that the most valuable things in life are the ones that can never be traded. The real human economy is not a series of swaps. It is a giant, overlapping web of people who owe each other everything. You owe the people who taught you. You owe the people who protected you. You owe the people who made you laugh when you wanted to cry. You can't barter for that. You can't tap a card and make that debt go away. Adam Smith wanted us to be independent traders. But the Nam, B, Wah, Ra, and the Gunwing, Gu knew better. They knew that independence is just another word for being alone in the forest. They knew that the only way to survive was to find a way to turn an enemy into a neighbor, and the only way to do that was to stop bartering and start giving. The next time you are at that self-checkout and you hear that beep, take a second to think about the silence. Think about the thousands of years of human history that were built on the exact opposite of that beep. Think about the hidden spears and the ritual dances. And then, maybe go buy a coffee for someone and tell them not to worry about it. Don't let the debt be settled. Keep the connection alive, because in the end, the biggest myth of all is not that money came from barter. The biggest myth is that we can survive in a world where we don't owe each other anything. The market is a useful tool, but it is a terrible home. Let us go back to the world of favors, of messy obligations, and of the beautiful, uneven debt of being human. Thank you for watching this journey through the anthropology of the trade. If you enjoyed this dive into the dark and weird history of how we interact, hit that subscribe button. We are going to keep digging into the stories that the textbooks are too afraid to tell. Until next time, stay uneven, stay connected, and stay curious. Goodbye.